The meeting for the June 2024 Lancaster County Planning Commission is now in session. Thank everyone that's in attendance, everyone out there that's in attendance, staff. Did everyone receive their packets prior to tonight's meeting, from last month's meeting?
Yes. Yes.
Everyone have any, or does anyone have any changes that need to be noted for the packet?
Just the prefix for Mr. Sorensen. The prefix for Mr. Sorensen.
Chairman Sorensen. That's a quick change. Well, since now he's giving us public hearings every month. With that said, with that one exception, or that one change, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from the May meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay. Moving right along, we've got two public hearings tonight. Ms. Hall, you want to start us off with the first one, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have for you this evening a public hearing to consider proposed revisions to Part 1 zoning ordinance Article 1 definitions to amend the definition of boat pier private to create uniformity with the Virginia State Code, and a revision to the short-term rental hosted definition to conform with the recently adopted state code. County staff and the Board of Supervisors received feedback from multiple local residents, contractors, that the Part 1 zoning ordinance Article 1 definitions for boat pier private should be updated to align with the 2006 updates made to the Code of Virginia. These requests were included in your packet. A copy of the discussed proposed draft revision is attached. These changes include increasing the square footage allowable for L and T or other structural configurations for private use from 250 square feet to 400 square feet. Updating the code language to 400 square feet would eliminate confusion for designers and homeowners and allow for larger piers. Larger piers also generate more tax revenue while providing more space for residents to enjoy and access the water. This update to the code will also streamline the review of permits, potentially saving homeowners money spent on revisions that will no longer be necessary due to the uniformity of the state and county code. Furthermore, revisions were also made to Virginia State Code, Chapter 792, and approved on April 17, 2024. Chapter 792, Part D states the following: no local ordinance enacted after December 21, 2023, or any subsequent amendment shall require that a special exception, special use, or conditional use permit be obtained for the use of a residential dwelling as a short-term rental where the family dwelling unit is also legally occupied by the property owner as his primary residence. In order to comply with the changes to the state code, the Lancaster County Land Development Zoning Ordinance Article 1 definitions, short-term rental hosted, should be revised to state short-term rental hosted, an owner-occupied dwelling legally occupied by the property owner as his primary residence. A copy of this proposed revision was included in your packet. At the time of the drafting of this memo, there was no written objections to this hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. You guys have any questions before we open up the public hearing session? And I need to digress because I forgot to recognize two of our VIPs in our attendance. This is the first year, certainly since I've been on this commission, that the county has taken two Lancaster County high school students and offered a summer internship. So Ashton Molyneux and Kayshawn Davis, thank you guys for joining the county. We really appreciate it, and I'm hearing great stuff about it. So, thank you guys. Okay. So, all right, we'll open up these public hearings one at a time. The first one is going to be the public hearing regarding the zoning ordinance Article 1 definitions, as Ms. Hall just stated. And for anyone that wants to come up, I ask them to come up to the podium and please state your name for record and the zoning, or not the zoning, but the district you represent. So at this time, we'll open up the public hearing portion of this meeting. Regarding this is just for the pier.
And
change.
also the hosted definition.
Hosted definition, which we'll get into more if you guys are here for the short-term rental. That's going to be more for the next public hearing, so. Have we heard anything, did anybody complain about the extent pier expansion?
No, I haven't heard a single
I'm
complaint
sure the
about that.
contractors are happy.
They are.
All staff, and, okay. All right, I think it's a no-brainer, so.
Anyone
yeah,
online?
Good question. Glenn, do we have anybody online?
Yeah, we have two people with no hands are raised.
All right, I'd like to just remind anyone that's watching online, if you would like to say something during this time, there is a button that you can press to raise hand, and we will acknowledge you. Nothing? Okay. This portion of the public hearing is closed. It's pretty straightforward to me. You want to make a recommendation?
Sure. I move that we forward the proposed revisions to Part 1 zoning ordinance, Article 1, definitions of Lancaster County's land code development to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation for approval as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. We've got a recommendation for to forward with approval to the Board of Supervisors for public hearing 1. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, our second public hearing tonight, proposed revisions to Part 1 zoning ordinance, Article 29. Ms. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have for you this evening a public hearing to consider proposed revisions to Part 1 zoning ordinance, Article 29, short-term rental regulations, to amend the short-term rental hosted definition to conform with recently adopted state code. This is similar to what we just discussed in definitions, but it's actually in Article 29 itself, which is our short-term rental regulation ordinance. Revisions were also made to the state code, Chapter 792, and approved April 17th, 2024. Part D states the following: no local ordinance enacted after December 21st, 2023, or any subsequent amendment shall require that a special exception, special use, or conditional use permit be obtained for the use of residential dwelling as a short-term rental where the dwelling unit is also legally occupied by the property owner as his primary residence. In order to comply with these changes, the short-term rental hosted definition should be revised to state short-term rental hosted, an owner-occupied dwelling legally occupied by the property owner as his primary residence. A copy of this proposed revision was included in your packet. At the time of the drafting of this memo, there were no objections to the hearing.
And none since?
No, I haven't heard any.
So this is a state mandate.
Correct, we need to comply with the state code.
You guys have any questions for Ms. Hall before I open up the public?
Yes, I do. I don't understand why we have to change anything. We specifically set up our whole ordinance so that a hosted short-term rental would not have to get a special exception, based on the theory that because the owner is there, it's owner-occupied, he's there to oversee the thing, he's going to demand good behavior just as a matter of course. And there aren't going to be the problems that can arise when it's not hosted.
Right, and this state code is pointing out more the definition of short-term hosted. So they're defining it for us so that we use their definition, but it doesn't change the fact that we are not requiring a special exception for hosted. So
Right.
it is reiterating that we are not requiring a special exception for hosted. So we're still allowed to require the special exception for unhosted.
Right. No, I don't have any objection to the change in terminology and the definition, but I think our definition is better because it
I do too.
defines, who's a resident and who's not. Without that, we don't have a definition of that. Anyway, I think we're making our ordinance worse.
The change has to be made to
It has to be
conform,
made.
to conform to state code.
People much smarter than
The county attorney has,
People
these are his
I
recommendations.
don't understand what he's talking about. I don't see
Right.
how on earth we're not in
I think
accord with the state.
what
ordinance.
staff is telling us, if we don't make the change, we won't be where staff is.
Who's
These-
telling us that?
The state.
Right, well, the issue.
State is or our
This-
attorney?
the state, so-
This is the
state.
General Assembly.
The issue
Yeah.
with not complying would be that should we want to enforce it, it would essentially be unenforceable because it doesn't meet the state code. Because Virginia is a Dillon rule state, we need to match up when we are requested and there's a change to the state code, we need to match that state code. where we can, so that we aren't more stringent than what the state is requiring.
Perfect. And let me just, so you can reiterate on that, it doesn't change the integrity of our
No.
short-term rental. It really doesn't change anything that we worked on.
I agree.
Right,
Okay.
and the
Yeah.
intent is the same. We can still require unhosted rentals to have the special exception.
Yeah. Well, thank you for making it clear. Do you have any other questions on that? No question. Okay, again, we're going to open up the public hearing section, and if you have a comment, we'd love to hear it. Just please come up, state your name for the record and the district from where you live. So at this portion of the meeting, the public hearing for number 2 is now open. Don't rush the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Jerry Starcia. I'm with my wife, Mary Ann. We live at 145 Boathouse Cove in Kilmarnock.
Okay.
I'm much more interested in the special exception unhosted. I don't know if that's beyond what we're talking about tonight, but the question that we have is around, will unhosted require special exception to the board? That's number one. Number two is, would you require some kind of public notice so we know what's going on if somebody comes and puts in a special exception application? Those are probably the two biggest issues for me at the moment.
Great issues. And when we were drafting this, I think that was the reason, in your recommendation, that we actually broke it out to hosted and unhosted, was just for those ideas.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's, what we're going to have at the next Board of Supervisor meeting in July is a hearing to update that Article 29 code. And once that is updated, we should be able to enact the Article 29 ordinance, which will require a special exception for unhosted rentals. And at that point, we can start scheduling those rentals for public hearings. So they'll have to apply and be scheduled. And up until the point where their hearing is heard, they will be able to continue to operate. So that will be advertised in the paper and as well to adjacent property owners. You'll get a mailing if you are adjacent to that property, either across the street or next door or behind. And then the public hearing will be advertised in the Rappahannock Record as well. We'll also have that information on our website with directions on how to make a public comment if you wish in writing, or you can come and speak at the public hearing like you are now, or virtually. You can also attend virtually and speak.
Great, thank you. And with respect to grandfathering people in, if people are already operating, unhosted, which they are, is there any grandfathering issue with that? In other words, whatever is decided by the board, they would be required to come back for special exception? And
They
that would
will be required to
they
come
would be
back for a
required to come
special
back for
exception.
special exception.
Correct.
It's my understanding there is no grandfather.
That's right.
That's what, okay,
It's
great.
been the wild, wild west. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Glenn, do we have anyone online? Oh, I'm sorry.
Richie Allen, 109 Boathouse Cove. I just have a question. Can we get a clarification on hosted and unhosted? I mean, does hosted mean that the owner has to be there?
That's correct.
Because I believe that there's other, real estate companies out there that are hosting VRBOs when they're not there, but they're saying they're hosting, and they've got 20 of them, so how are they there? So is there going to be clarification in the ordinance to say that the owner has to be there?
it's already, it's in the definition.
Okay.
Even to the point of how many days they have to be there to consider themselves.
See, I think he's getting to the point, we are writing, enforcement is a different
Yeah.
animal.
That's what we just
So,
took out.
and that's
No,
the
I'm sorry.
part that.
I misspoke.
Yeah, so hosted, the owner has to be there while the guest is there, right?
Yes.
Correct.
That's right, exactly right.
So they can operate without this special exception.
Correct.
Right,
But
but they're not
supposed to be
hosted
there.
when a real
They're
estate
supposed to
company
be
is
there.
hosting them, because they're not there.
Yeah, again, that.
They got 20
I
of them,
hear
they
you.
can't say it every one of them.
We've heard some horror stories, and I'm sure you guys have some good ones too, but yeah, we understand that, that's the host. So we're hoping the Wild Wild West will have some sort of, teeth to put into it, a good neighbor to let the county know, those types of things, what
Yeah,
we're
I
looking
mean, my
for.
biggest concern is I got two teenage daughters, 12 and 15, and they're outside of the pool during the summer. We don't know who's there. If we have a sex offender in the neighborhood, we're gonna know. You know, we're notified. We don't know who comes to these places. I'm sure y'all got kids. That's our biggest.
It's awful. I agree.
We don't know who's gonna be there.
Yeah.
So our ordinance is in Article 29, is that correct?
Correct.
And in the definition of short-term rental that's in there, it says, in part, that the operator must stay overnight on the premises during all rental periods.
There you go, okay. So we just gotta figure out how to enforce it, or I guess the county does.
Again, this is still all new for us. We, you know, we're a little late to the dance, but we've heard, you're not alone.
Okay, perfect.
Y'all are not alone.
As long as we're working towards a common goal, everybody's good.
Yeah. And just, the first thing we had to do was get something on
Get
the
it
books.
right in
We
there.
didn't have anything. So we
Right.
didn't have anything to stand on.
Sounds
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Mary Ann Starcia, and I live on Boathouse Cove Road as well. Who exactly will enforce or make sure that the owner is on premises 24/7 if they are approved for this special use permit?
You're a little bit confused. An unhosted short-term rental requires a special exception.
Okay.
A hosted short-term rental is allowed by right. A hosted short-term rental does not require a special exception. The hosted short-term rental requires the property owner to be
there.
there during the rental. If the property owner is not there during the rental, it is an unhosted short-term rental. The unhosted short-term rental will require a special exception before the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, I understand that. If they say they're going to be there and they're not there,
Well, as Mr. Lee stated, enforcement is going to be the issue, and I mean, the planning and land use staff will be the enforcement arm of the county for this.
If they don't get the special exception, then they're
And-
not allowed to do it.
Okay.
If they're
For
not-
unhosted.
For unhosted,
For
yeah,
unhosted.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
and if they go for this permit, which they will be notified, I'm assuming this homeowner will be notified.
Well, they'll
that
be the one applying for it.
Yeah.
They have to apply for it, but will they know that they have to apply for it?
Yes, and the one you're speaking of is registered, and so they will be notified that they will need a special exception to continue operating an unhosted short-term rental.
Okay.
And when that special exception comes to the Board of Supervisors, it's a public hearing. And as Mrs. Hall stated, it will be advertised in the Rappahannock Record 2 weeks prior to the hearing date. And adjacent property owners who have property that touches that parcel that is up for consideration will get a separate mailing notifying them of the public hearing as well. A special exception, the Board of Supervisors can place conditions on a special exception approval that they deem necessary to, so that it's safe. And conditions can be specific to parcel specific on a case-by-case basis. And so, I mean, the conditions for one special exception may not be the conditions for another one. But that's how this process will work. And again, as Chairman Brent stated, this is all new to us, and we're going down this road for the first time. But as these applications come in, they'll be scheduled before the board for consideration, and the board will handle them. You know, there's a limit on how many public hearings, you know, the board can consider at a meeting. And if, it's going to be spread out over many months to hear them all. So
Okay.
that's why the ones who are operating now will be able to continue to operate, you know, until their hearing date is scheduled.
Okay, Thank you. Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
There are 3 bedrooms in this particular house. Is it understood, do I understand correctly that that means there can only be 6 people renting at any one time?
I don't know about I don't remember the children because it's been so long since we touched on, but it's only 2 adults per bedroom.
Okay.
2 adults per
And
bedroom.
what about if there's children, multiple children on the property running around on top of 6 adults? Does that
I think
become
it
a
was
fire
2 and 1 is
ordinance?
what I remember, but I can't swear to that.
Do you have that there?
As far as a bedroom, the rule is 2 adults plus children.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say how many children, so
Okay,
that's
thank you.
open.
Okay. We live right next to the property, and we are very concerned. We've seen lots of people there on any number of occasions, especially during the holidays. And it is right on the water with the dock, and we have real concerns about what's going on. So,
And in that ordinance too that we drafted, I think it's fair to say that even if they're granted a special exception, if they are penalized, if they break any of the rules that are in this new ordinance, that special exception can be pulled at any time.
oh, okay,
Yeah, it's not in perpetuity.
okay,
Yeah, it's like, kind of like your driver's license.
okay.
It's not a right once you get it.
And so if we find that those rules are being broken, then who do we contact?
The planning and land use staff.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can contact me.
all righty. Thank you very much for
Yeah,
your
hopefully you don't have
time.
to get the sheriffs involved into it, but I mean, that's, if you do, you do. I mean, that's just more proof why you need the land use in there, but hopefully it doesn't come to that, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's just been an interesting experience, because if they can have, if there's 3 bedrooms, there needs to be 3 parking spots on the premises, not on the road.
That's actually addressed in there too, that has
Yeah.
to be ample parking.
And so he took the whole front yard and made a parking lot. I mean, it's just,
It's a nice, sounds like a nice neighborhood.
yeah,
Jesus.
it's really been unpleasant for us, so.
They just visited.
And, you
Yeah, I
know,
mean, that's- yeah.
when we purchased our property, that property had just conveyed, and no one told us, disclosed to us that it was an Airbnb at that time. So we moved in not knowing it was a full-time rental property.
That's, yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So that's an investment for us that, you know, we have to deal with people in and out all the time. So, thank you.
I know, but anyway, that's why
I appreciate your time.
we've got something, hopefully that will help.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing, is the way I look at it.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also,
Thank you.
You know, I know this probably doesn't help any, but if you've been following the other places, everybody's going through the same thing. All the localities are going. I was just listening at what they did in Hampton over the weekend, and trying to curb some of the short-term rentals. They went as far as saying you can't have a certain number in these districts they got.
Yeah.
They got districts set up, they saying, okay, you can't have the 2 short-term rentals there. And so all the localities are trying to deal with what has become a booming thing. I mean, and people that's vacationing, they are looking for that. They're looking for that rather than hotels and things like that. So it's becoming a big business. Already is a big business.
And unfortunately, it only takes one rotten apple to spoil the whole bunch.
Well, you never know who you're gonna get, you know.
You don't?
Yeah.
No, I hear what Mr. Allen said, you don't know, you don't. You don't. Glenn, do we have anybody on, oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Donna Dull. I live at 180 Boathouse Cove. My question is, what is your definition of a bedroom?
How many bedrooms that's allowed by the health department's
Department
permit?
of
Okay, because this home only had 2 bedrooms.
Well, then that's all that's,
It's being advertised for 3 bedrooms.
oh, I've seen them advertise just the amount of beds they've had in them, you know, and they could spread the beds around. So this ordinance will change how they advertise how many it can sleep. based on the amount of bedrooms. That's a great question, but yeah. That's how the county will define bedrooms.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Peggy Whaley, 142 Boathouse Cove. The gentleman that we're talking about, he knew that the neighborhood did not want it, short-term. And he did his short-term anyway, without asking. He didn't even get a permit till I came up, well, Donna and I came up, and they sent him a registered letter. Then he got his permit.
Interesting.
And who's going to enforce this? I mean, when,
County staff.
so I call you Don.
You can call me or call Olivia.
I wouldn't call Don. I would call my office. I think you would start closer to the bottom there.
All right, so he will be sent a registered letter. He's got to reapply, conditional permit.
Yes. You're
And then
saying
we
moving
all
forward,
come.
even though he's operating now, he's still, it's like you said, it's
He-
not grandfathered.
He will have to come for a special exception.
Well, who's to say that he waits 6 months and then applies, and then everything is taken up, and then he doesn't get hurt, his special permit doesn't, for another 6 months? So he can, a year or 2 years before his,
I think on the letter that will be sent to all of the short-term rentals that are currently on our registry, we'll put some sort of a time limit in it for response. And then it's going to be a matter of getting those applications scheduled before the Board of Supervisors. Because, like I said, if we had 100 applications come in, reasonably, the board might could consider 5 at each meeting, maybe that's going to push it. So you see, it could take many, many months to
Yeah,
get
that's what I'm
through
saying.
all of them. So, but, we'll put a time limit on for response, but then it'll be, we'll have to schedule. And, I don't know where this particular one may fall, but,
well, all
There's-
the neighbors down there look out for each other except for this one
yeah.
house that was sold.
And y'all do not have a homeowners association, correct?
No, but maybe, is it too late to get one?
You need to speak with an attorney, but,
Oh, we do have the covenants, yeah. That goes back to when we, in the 50s, I think it was.
all right, you may want to speak with an attorney to see about, because the easiest way to block a short-term rental is to change a HOA's covenants. And, that's the easiest way to do it. So,
Well, if we do have a covenant, but it doesn't state, because back in those days, they didn't have any.
yeah, and that's why I say you should,
It would have to state it in the covenants.
it would have to be stated in
Or
the
you
covenants.
Or you
and
could amend the covenants.
You'd have to amend the
In
covenants.
the covenants.
Yeah.
And
And most-
that is being done.
And that's being done a
Are we
lot.
too late to do that?
Well,
It's your
you
covenants.
need to get legal advice on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And usually everything, at least with ours, because we just went through it with ours, you just have to have a vote. You have to have the whatever amendment you're going to offer be drafted up and then included, and then it's recorded here in the courthouse.
And it's a shame, because everybody down there just,
This
and
wasn't an issue until COVID.
No, no.
Right.
Uh-uh. Nope. And we got a lot of young kids down there now,
Yeah,
and grandkids. And and a lot of widows down there.
yeah.
And we don't want it.
Well, we're trying, I'm not speaking for the county, but I mean, with this ordinance, we're trying to get, like I said, we got something on the books, but maybe the quickest remedy would be to look in your covenants and restrictions.
Okay?
But again, I'm gonna go with Mr. Gill's suggestion. I would seek
Yeah, you
legal
need-
advice on that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't trust the planning commission for help.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whaley. Still open. Glenn, we got anybody online? Anybody else like to address the planning commission? Okay. This portion of the meeting is, public hearing is now closed.
I kind of get the feeling that maybe a fair share of you folks haven't gotten a copy of this regulation we're talking about, which actually went in effect almost a year ago. We haven't worked on this for many, many months. I tried to look on our county website to find the ordinance to prepare for this meeting. I couldn't find it. But it does exist. Olivia, can you make copies available to anybody who might come by and want a copy?
Sure, I have been emailing it to anyone who asked to see it. The reason it hasn't been placed online is because to do so at this point would cause a lot of confusion because it's not enforceable. So the Board of Supervisors has not finished their work to make that enforceable and adopt it. The code was adopted, but we haven't put it in action yet because we have to update certain sections of the zoning ordinance so that it complies with the rest of the code. Once all of those codes have been updated, which we're going to work on at the next Board of Supervisor meeting, was it July? The July meeting. Then it will become enforceable, and at that point, that's when it would be on the website. So we didn't want to share that now because it would create a lot of confusion as to what people needed to do to apply for that special exception.
Thank you guys for coming. Sorry y'all had to come up here, but thank you guys for coming up and speaking to us. Public hearing section is now done. We've got one discussion item. Ms. Hall.
You got to vote on that. You got to vote on sending that.
Just send that,
I
send that up
move,
to Atlanta.
I move that we forward the proposed revisions to Part 1 zoning ordinance, Article 29, short-term rental regulations to amend the short-term rental hosted definition to conform with State Code 15.2-983, Chapter 792, with a recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Booth. We've got a motion on the floor for recommendation of approval to forward to the Board of Supervisors. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposing it as unnecessary.
Duly noted. And you can call Mrs. Kent. She's our delegate now. Hillary Buchanan. Oh. That's teasing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for catching that, sorry. Okay, moving right along.
All right.
Discussion item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have for you a discussion item to discuss the request received to review and revise the Lancaster County, Virginia Land Development Code, Part 1 Zoning Ordinance, Article 18, the Waterfront Overlay District, all districts W1. County staff and the Board of Supervisors have received feedback that the Lancaster County, Virginia Land Development Code, Article 18, Waterfront Overlay District should be updated to address residents' inability to subdivide parcels that are within 800 feet of a tributary stream due to the restrictions placed on parcels within the waterfront overlay, which requires a minimum lot size of 2 acres. The person requesting changes to the code has provided proposed revisions, which are included in your packet. Another possible revision would be to remove the inclusion of tributary streams from Article 18. Included in your packet are examples of properties that are 800 feet from a tributary stream and are therefore subject to the W1. County staff are working to provide more information on the number and scale of properties affected by the W1 and plan to have this information for you at your next meeting. This discussion is envisioned as a work session to identify potential revisions to the existing county ordinance to address residents' concerns. And if you look through your packet, I've provided the current county code, and of course, Mr. Donofrio's proposed revisions. He had suggested instead of 800 feet, we look for using 400 feet. And in a discussion, we had talked about possibly just removing the wording tributary streams. If you continue to flip through, you'll see a map showing the USGS solid blue lines for tributary streams on an inland section of the county, And you can see Langford Corner, Crawford's Corner there, and how those areas might be affected. The dotted blue lines are not tributary streams, but once those lines become solid, they're considered tributary streams, and any parcel within 800 feet of that would have to meet that 2-acre minimum for subdivision. So example 1 on the next page is a proposed subdivision that was not approvable due to the 2-acre lot minimum as the waterfront overlay district applied here due to a nearby tributary stream. This is the Nunnally property, tax parcel 2852 on Old Salem Road. And then if you continue to the next page, it shows that stream that affected the parcel within 800 feet. And you can see how small that stream is in that area. You can't really even see it on the map. If you go to the next example, it's 654 Christchurch Road. The owner had contacted me looking to divide this parcel for her family, and there is a tributary stream that runs down the left side of it, and that renders her entire property in the waterfront overlay district. So she would be subject to that 2-acre lot minimum, and that parcel was not subdividable. Example 3 would be the Good Luck Cellar property. Over half of the property is within the W1 and must comply with that 2-acre lot minimum as well. You can see the tributary stream at the rear of that property. I think most of us are familiar with that property. It has industrial zoning for one of those parcels. And trying to divide that would be incredibly difficult with that waterfront overlay there. So to have any housing on the parcel, for instance, for people who wanted to potentially buy that parcel and work that as a vineyard, we did have someone who was interested in that. He was asking if he would be able to put housing on there for the family who wanted to work the vineyard. And so that was where the 2-acre lot minimum came to light. And then Mr. Donofrio's example is that last page that shows a conceptual master plan, and highlighted in yellow are the lots that would be affected by that waterfront overlay district. And so you can see the subdivision, the smaller lot sizes, and then as you move back into that area that's within 800 feet of that tributary stream, he has to go to the 2-acre lots. And that's over off Black Stump and State Route 675. So Glenn is working on getting you some information. I think, Tara, you asked at the last meeting if we could pull that data from GIS, and we have that layer available from USGS for blue streams, and he's working on getting that for you so you can see which properties in the county would be affected.
Great, thank you.
What's staff think?
I do get a lot of requests, and some great examples here, where people want to divide family properties, and give to children or separate for siblings. And if they're on an interior part of the county, for instance, Pinkersville or Crawford's Corner, you wouldn't necessarily think that the waterfront overlay district would apply in these areas, but it certainly does. And a lot of people find it confusing because of the title of waterfront overlay. They don't think that that tributary stream that may not even be on their property would make them waterfront. So that 800 feet is a long way from a tributary stream. So that could be across the street, a long way away. You might not even be able to see it at all. But that's going to make you have to keep your lot at 2 acres. So it is something that's affecting a lot of people who wish to divide properties on the interior areas of the county. And I know the waterfront overlay district is something that the county worked a long time to develop, and I know a lot of thought went into it. And we had some feedback from Charlie earlier. We were discussing it. So I know there's certainly opinions on both sides of that issue, but I think it's something, it's good to consider those who are affected, especially, someone who wants to just subdivide the property for their children or grandkids, and maybe are not able to do that in one of these interior sections of the county. I would just want to look at, is the ordinance meeting the intention of what the original ordinance, was drafted for?
May I ask a question? I know,
Charlie, make one come up there.
you can't hear me?
No, people online can't hear you.
I was online like that, huh? The only one, right, Glenn? Charlie Costello, District 2. Okay. I'm looking at the ordinance in the yellow lines on page 62 of 97, page 2 of 3.
Just to be clear, that's Mr. Donofrio's revisions. He marked
Okay,
that
now,
up, so
wait a
that's
minute.
not our ordinance.
Okay. You saying D'Onofrio?
Yeah.
Okay, so D'Onofrio is his quarters. He's the developer
Well, it was his.
of a lot, well, yeah, of a lot of property. He's got other properties, a whole bunch of property that's already in grants and so on. That's right, Don? That's still
That-
existing? Does that have to go back and reset?
The King's Grant.
King's Grant.
Yeah, that subdivision was
That-
approved back in '07, I think.
That's
08.
right, that's what I
09.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
we
the
don't
one
have
on
to do it.
Black Stump Road?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's what he's,
That's like
that's what he's
700
saying.
acres.
Yeah, it
That's what
is.
he's saying.
Yeah.
So this is his thing.
Yeah,
about
that's what
making-
he wrote up.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's
Right,
what he-
but he's,
That's his proposal.
That's his
Okay, I thought-
proposal.
Yeah, we're not-
The way it's here.
Yeah.
I thought it
Right.
was
No.
what you all were proposing.
no, that was his suggestion.
Right at the top,
I-
D'Onofrio's proposal.
I didn't pick up on it, Don.
Right,
Thank you. I was looking,
and staff had
it's
discussed.
D'Onofrio, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Staff had discussed, there's always more As in this county than I expect. But the staff had discussed maybe just removing the tributary stream requirement to make it so that these perennial streams on the interior of the county that aren't touching these parcels or even visible from these parcels are not affecting these people. So it's not Mr., you said D'Onofrio? It's
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio, thank you.
He's married to Jimmy Carter's sister.
Got it, D'Onofrio.
I forgot
Okay.
who it is. You
So-
know who the players there.
So he's just one of many that have been in my office and
Sure.
been disappointed that they could not divide a property based on something they were completely unaware applied to their parcel.
But as far as doing it for family reasons, D'Onofrio's not doing it for family reasons.
Oh, no.
No.
No way.
But, what the staff is doing, looking at the big picture, not just him.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think confuses a lot of people is the title, waterfront overlay. When I can't see water anywhere,
I know.
Yeah.
and so I think that's really confusing. And then you find out you got a little stream that might be 3 feet wide, might be.
Yeah.
That's 1,000 feet away is stopping you from doing something.
My Creek, runs all the way up behind the Mary Point Post Office. Get back in there. That's, would be a non-title thing. Past the swamp, that agrees with that, so. But, D'Onofrio in here has it as a 1 acre lot. So the one on Salem Road wouldn't fit under his provisions. And I would see maybe limiting it instead of 2 acre lots, make it a 1 acre lot for non-title. I could probably.
And that's a great
Well,
point. That
that's
would
pretty
help
much
more people.
Standard and fits with the rest of the lots. Otherwise, the one on Salem Road, the way it's laid out here, those are those little cottages for short-term rentals. That's what they're going to put in there. There's one already up down there. It's where Al Pollard's got his areas.
Can I ask a
He's
quick
building a house
question?
down there, though.
Huh? He's built the first one down there.
What is, maybe I should know this, but what is the definition of tributary? And is there a length, a width, a depth, or anything that
It's
goes along
tidal.
with that?
The tributary stream definition is what ties it to that solid blue line on the USGS topographic map. So that's, Olivia and I were bouncing ideas around, maybe, you know, all the revision that needs to be done is remove the term tributary stream. Then that, you know, that takes that connection to that USGS topographic map away, and then it becomes determination of the zoning administrator of title and non-title.
Right.
And,
But make it with the same things of what's true for residential. Don't you have to have an acre?
yeah, I mean,
All those things
You know-
fall back into it
you know,
if you do it.
the only change that maybe needs to be done is just to remove tributary stream.
No.
And, I mean, because
Not tributary.
if you remove.
non-title. Remove non-title, not tributary.
What is non-title?
That's that,
It currently, the language doesn't say non-title. What's highlighted says non-title. That was D'Onofrio's suggestions.
non-title means it doesn't affect into the,
The only non-title would be the non-title wetlands that are connected by surface flow and
That's right.
contiguous to tidal wetlands.
That's right.
Which is the RPA.
That's right.
And the Chesapeake Bay Act. So that, you know, you've already got that. And, I mean, we already know where that is. So
Right.
that, you know, that
well,
That
isn't
part is already
Chase-
there.
Chase's old storage place, wasn't that flow of water going off to the Corratone? Corratman, if you wish.
yeah.
That flows right,
Yeah.
right into the, down past Dave, where he is down on Queens Cove. Right?
Eventually, yeah.
Yep, that's where it flows.
But, you know, and I'm saying it may be as simple as removing tributary streams and not making these other changes that Mr. D'Onofrio has proposed, because removing tributary stream will remove that link to that solid blue line on that USGS topographic map. And if the W1 does not apply, then the underlying zoning applies. So if
That's
it's a
right.
R1, you've got a 30,000 square foot minimum lot size, as opposed to, 2 acres. And you can further reduce that if you have a central water or sewer. And plus, in the subdivision ordinance, we have the cluster provisions under Section 5-26. So the underlying zoning, will govern,
Pick up.
if the W1 does not apply.
As
So
long as you don't change
the thing that really,
Title.
I mean, when Olivia drafted this and brought it to me to look at, the thing that struck me right off the bat was there's places in Crawford's Corner that the waterfront residential overlay applies to. And you're not going to see water in Crawford's Corner. That just,
And we certainly did not discuss that
Yeah.
when we created the waterfront overlay.
yeah.
I mean, And I don't think any of us even considered.
So I think there were
Well,
some
actually, that goes back to
unintended
1988.
consequences.
Yeah, 1988
Yeah.
is when that was drafted, so.
Right. That's when it was put in.
Well, we
And the
reviewed
comprehensive
it
plan,
at some
we never
point.
talked
Yeah,
inside
yeah, we
the
have,
ordinance.
that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just wanted to respond to Mr. Sorensen. The definition of a tributary stream is a perennial stream that is so depicted on the most recent U.S. Geological Survey 7.5-minute topographic quadrangle map as a solid blue line.
Does that help?
Well, we have this handy map here that might make it more clear, but yes.
Yeah.
So there's different, I see what you're saying. I mean, we've got a lot of information that needs to come forward
Yeah.
to us, but it's a great discussion, because again, maybe we limit for the stream, keep the stream in there, but limit that 800 foot. I don't know. I'm just trying to think,
Yeah, I mean,
like D'Onofrio recommended, as just an option.
that's why it's before you,
You go halfway,
Yeah.
and then, like you say, the RPA is gonna kick in anyway.
The RPA is
And
gonna
then
kick in.
The underlying zoning's gonna kick in by right zoning or whatever.
as long as we enforce it. Well, I mean it.
Yes, sir.
Push
Yeah.
all the way as much as I can, these new especially.
So that's one of the things I want to mull over as we think about this before our next meeting, and I'll be doing some research on what all of those options would include, and try to think about any potential consequences that could occur, so that we don't end up in the same situation where we create an unintended consequence that affects other people. So it's certainly something we could all, workshop and think about. So I think just off the top of our heads, we've talked about the 400 feet, so 800 to 400, 2 acres to 1 acre, or just removing the tributary stream. And there may be other options as well.
Because I'm under the, I think what it was intended to do, it did do, as far as keeping us rural, more rural, less dense. Property values throughout the county have gone through the roof. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it is what it is. So it's done some good, and it's kept high impact runoff going into
But it's the
our waters.
unintentional consequences, like she's saying, people across the corner. Shouldn't be at the very.
It's just like little things like that. That's why, the discussion item is so nice. Just like the pier, I had no idea, 250 to 400, everybody else is doing for. I don't think anybody else had any idea.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Don't come to mind.
No,
Yeah.
no. So, all right.
But in the example of Mr. D'Onofrio, it would certainly benefit a developer, but like Don pointed out, you'd still have to meet those RPA restrictions. There'd still be some open space requirements. So you're not just allowing higher density all the way to that perennial stream. So we do still have some protections there.
Yeah, that's the RPA, and that's important too, just for the environment.
Well, the perennial stream stays under the waterfront overlay. Right? The perennial stream stays under.
A perennial stream
The
is,
tributary,
Well, the perennial stream is in the definition of tributary stream. So if you remove that tributary stream, then you are removing that perennial stream from that definition.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But you still have that protection of the Chesapeake Bay Act
Yes.
and our ordinance that addresses that. So you have to be 100 feet from that buffer.
Yeah.
Or the buffer is 100 feet
tidal
from that
wetlands
stream.
remains.
tidal wetlands
Correct.
remain, yes. Anything tidal remains, and non-tidal that is
Yeah.
adjacent to and connected by surface flow
That's right.
to the tidal wetlands also.
Yeah, that swamp that exists behind
That's,
all that way up, it's still part of the waterfront overlay, as far as I can, right? Thank you very much.
just-
Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it. I'll see you again.
Did you want to add something, Dave?
Well, I've always admired this waterfront. I've lost my voice here. I've always admired the waterfront overlay, even though I'm one of the ones affected by it. I mean, I have 8 acres on the eastern branch of the Corps of Tolman, and it goes back about 800 feet along the whole thing. So I couldn't develop 1 acre lots, but I like that. And I think that's what's kept us from developing like, say, the Solomons in Maryland, where they put waterfront properties on top of each other, helter-skelter. So I think it's done a hell of a job.
No question.
I would be very resistant to changing that part of it.
yeah.
And I don't know about the other part. My recommendation is if we get somebody who really knows that area, an expert on that particular subject, and have them come in and discuss it with us. I don't know that we have anybody in the county that's really an expert on.
We'll have D'Onofrio come give us That's all.
He's a developer.
Yeah.
But one of the things, Dave, you want to keep in mind is what Don and Olivia have said. You got sections in this county that it should not be on the waterfront overlay.
Yeah.
To that extent. You got, and I don't know whether you even know where these places are that they're talking about. You know, like Pinker's Corner, Crawford's Corner and stuff. You might not be aware of where they're located. But there's no waterfront. There's no water. So that, and they fall under it just because that, you know.
That stream.
Stream, you know,
Tributary
somewhere, you know, in the woods is running close to that property. We're not talking about a creek or anything like that.
No.
Can we make it parcel specific? Just a
I don't think so.
You could make it on a, I mean.
That's a legal
County staff
question.
has to review all site plans.
Yeah, but I don't believe you can make it parcel specific, because then you're
Oh, yeah,
you're
I
not
see.
treating everybody the same.
Well,
But
I think that was a good intro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody wants to change the
Type of
waterfront residential overlay on any shoreline property. I don't think, we don't want to change that. It's just these interior properties that, because of the way the definition of tributary stream is, are under this because they're within 800 feet of a solid blue line. And
I think that's the consensus now. So it's a good discussion. We'll have more information next month. I mean, we're not moving
Yeah.
it forward. We're just going to talk about it some more.
Yeah, I mean, it's
At least
not-
we all kind of know what
Yeah,
the
nothing,
county's
nothing,
looking
yeah, it's-
forward to.
Mr. Chairman, I would like, for Olivia, she said unintended consequences. If you remove the tributary streams, if you just remove that altogether, what could be the legal consequences?
And I'm certainly going to research that and see what information I can come up for you. And like David said, see if I can find an expert to weigh in on it, so we can have more data and information on that.
And because I'm the newbie, this overlay, was this something specific to Lancaster County, or is this a state or any other code or?
No, this is specific to Lancaster County.
Oh, okay.
I mean, other counties have waterfront zoning districts, but this particular Article 18 is specific to Lancaster.
Thank you.
And it was enacted in 1988, and there's been very little change to it over the years.
If it ain't broke,
If it ain't broke, don't fix
now
it.
we
So
got something that's broke.
But it is.
it is.
But we didn't know it. All right, well, I thought that was a great packet, too. Thank you so much. I know
Thank you.
That took you a lot of time to do.
Olivia, you're doing a fantastic.
Thank you, that is so kind. Thank you.
Yes, I would, here. Lastly, on our agenda tonight, we've got other business, the APA Virginia 2024 Conference.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just need to know if anyone would like to attend. I think Claudette wants to attend Monday only. I've included the agenda in the packet, so if you see something that interests you, just let me know and
By-
we can arrange that.
By when?
I was hoping by this meeting.
Okay, all right. Y'all better start thinking.
Let me check and
It's
see.
a free party on the county.
So you said Monday only?
You can attend as much or as little as you like. Claudette wanted to just attend
Oh.
Monday because there were some specific talks that you were interested in.
And then on Monday, they will be discussing workforce housing. So I can-
Very nice.
Could you come speak to them?
As much as I would love to attend, I won't be able to, so you won't need to hear from me. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I've been subpoenaed for some court case. I don't know exactly when that date is, so somewhere right around there,
And
unfortunately.
I'd like to attend
Monday as well?
Monday and Tuesday.
Okay,
There you go.
great.
Great, thank you guys for attending. How many staff members are going?
I think John might be attending.
Yeah, I think so.
I may attend, I was supposed to be on vacation that week, but I'm going to probably have to change that. So I might be on vacation the following week. So I may also be attending.
Okay, terrific.
Good.
On purpose, we saved the best for last. We've got a board report from our Board of Zoning liaison, Mr. Sorensen.
We did have one hearing this month. It was a setback, and we approved it. The hardship came as the lay of the land. I don't think so. The hardship was the lay of the land and limited space to put it, so it was approved unanimously approved.
Did the Blue Line Stream?
The Blue Line tributary did not have
Okay.
anything to do with it.
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add?
We just,
Thank you, guys, for a great meeting.
there was conversation about whether we were meeting in July.
Yes, so we were not planning on meeting in July. Does that still work for everyone?
As long
Okay.
as it doesn't interfere with December, that's all I'm going to say.
I don't think it would.
Shouldn't overflow.
You can take off, you're only required to meet every other month, so technically 6 meetings a year. You just can't take off 2 months in a row.
Yeah.
Why would we want to miss this much fun, especially with our pay raise?
I'm just saying.
Well, you're
that's-
all so good at it.
That's all,
so.
that's all you're required to meet. So, I mean,
So we don't have anything on the agenda. We have anything upcoming that we need to look forward to? Other than this discussion item?
No, I don't have any rezones coming up, none so far. So this is the only thing I can think of, really.
All right, so
Yeah.
we'll meet again, and then July's a busy month for everybody,
Yeah.
quite honestly. All right, we'll meet again in August, and if something, I guess you'll let us know if something comes up.
Sounds good.
Anybody got anything else? All right, thank you, guys. See you August.
Thank you.